What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Vivid Breakdown Show, where we're going to be going through some of our favorite bets over on Vivid Picks. If you haven't checked it out yet, you're just making bad life choices. Going over, get signed up using the promo code Grinders, where I can't remember off the top. Is it 100% up to $250? Is that right?
$200
bucks. $200. That's free money. All you got to do is play through it. And guess what? Don't even have to do any research. We're going to be going through and giving you some of our favorite prop parlays over on Vivid Picks each and every Friday. So you can not know anything about it, get the bonus, and get some free money. It's that simple. No research. All you have to do is watch these shows every single week, or just go straight over to the picks we have later on in the show. But if you haven't checked out Vivid Picks, it is a prop parlay site where you can play all your props all in a single game pretty much every single day. They got football, they got basketball, they got baseball, they got Counter-Strike Go. I don't know anything about that. They got golf, NASCAR, so Stevie knows what he's doing. WNBA, League of Legends, F1. Pretty much anything you could possibly want to play props on, they have it. And I'm enjoying it. I wish that I was able to play it a little bit over in other states. I can't play it in Colorado because stupid laws. Just let me do what I want. But Tuttle, you played a bit on it.
Yeah, and you can play. I'm in Wisconsin. You can play in Wisconsin, but you can't sports bet. So it's kind of the opposite, I think, of your situation. So it's definitely a nice alternative if you're trying to just get a little bit of a sweat in. Don't really have time to do a whole lot of DFS research, or don't want to put in that time. This is a good way to get a kind of something on the game and make it an entertaining evening.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this. Actually, I know you do know this. Football is back in our life.
It is. Chop and I kind of hyped it up a few episodes ago. We took a look at some of the regular season props that they still have listed. Futures they have. If you want to look into that, they do have an NFL futures section you can take a look into. But preseason is back. Hall of Fame game was last week. We had 2 preseason games last night. There are 5 or 6 games tonight, I believe, and I've been helping out with the preseason team. So I actually do have some preseason picks to take a closer look at.
All right. Well, go ahead and let me know which game you want to go through, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, so they've done they've added now, and they kind of did it with their futures. If you click on the NFL preseason showdown, I like 8-12. You see the picture with Jordan Love and Trace McSorley there.
Yep.
They've added this recently, and I like it where it's not just one game. This is kind of just all the games that are happening tonight. So you can go across multiple formats. Obviously, we like the single game stuff, and when we're doing that, we're kind of just trying to correlate, which you're not really going to find a ton of correlation with across the different games here. But I like that you can kind of group it in and kind of team it up for a bigger payday if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've looked through things, which any of these props stand out to you? Because it seems like under the pregame showdown, there's just a boatload of them here.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it's a little overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking for. But that's typically where you find less sharp lines, right? Anything at prop markets.
Any market where people don't know that much about it, or people don't study it that much, that's where you can always find an edge. Like if you're putting in more research than the other person on this particular line, like I know Chief used to always bet like single player tackle totals and just absolutely crush it because no one else is looking at that. No one else is playing that. Like I made a killing this season in the blocks and steals market of like random players, like not even random players just don't play a ton, like Dwight Powell. Betting over on his blocks was just a gold mine because he only played 18 minutes. They're like, oh, he's not going to get the over, but you get it plus 250. So stuff like that where people just aren't looking into it because everyone's always looking at spreads, totals, like passing yards, the main player props. You can make a decent amount of money. So is there any quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers standing out to you off the board right now?
Yeah, so I got one of each, and a lot of this is our team at RotoGrinders has been, Sean Newsom and Chris Jamino. They've been putting the legwork. So much of it is about information. Some stuff we won't know, and some stuff won't go necessarily as planned. But there are 2 spots specifically in terms of running backs for tonight's games where teams are very shallow. One of those being the Green Bay Packers. So they have BJ Baylor and Tyler Goodson on the roster, and then they just recently signed Dexter Williams back onto the team. But neither A.J. Dillon nor Aaron Jones are expected to play tonight. I like both BJ Baylor and Tyler Goodson's overs. Baylor's at 28.5, Goodson's at 27.5. So this is a little bit different, right? I expect both these guys to play. I'm not necessarily as concerned about negative correlation. I do think you can play both those together, but I also do like kind of rotating them in and out. So, maybe make a couple of different picks on this on preseason tonight and use Baylor for a couple of those and Goodson for a couple of those, just in case one of those guys gets more run than the other guy. But I like using those guys as a core. Another guy is Jason Huntley, Eagles running back. Kind of a similar situation here. Miles Sanders is expected to play. He's expected to get 1 to 2 series, I believe it is, but Kenneth Gainwell is not expected to play. Boston Scott's not expected to play. That then leaves them with Kennedy Brooks and Jason Huntley for the majority of the rest of the game. They did sign DeAndre Torrey relatively recently. I don't expect him to get a bunch of run. So again, it's just kind of situations where there's not going to be a lot of places or a lot of people playing. So there's not a ton of depth. So Jason Huntley, I think I like the over 24.5. And so these are the most ones I'm most confident in these running back situations. Then if you're looking to kind of throw in Quez Watkins for Philadelphia, the receiving core is also a little bit banged up. His total receiving yardage is at 14.5. So kind of similar to Miles Sanders. A.J. Brown's expected to play 1.5 snaps. Devontae Smith has been out with a groin injury. Some of their backups, so Greg Ward, John Hightower, those guys aren't expected to play because they're injured. So it's a spot where you could see Quez Watkins. He's a deep threat, so he could get this in one play pretty easily, but I think you could also see a fair share of snaps just today. So I like that over. And then one last one I'll throw in, and this is, again, I think you can only max out at 4 picks, but I like mixing and matching just in case some of these don't go as expected. Zach Wilson, he's at 50.5 passing yards. In our notes at RotoGrinders, we're expecting him only to see 1 to 2 series. And that's a pretty high yardage total for just 1 to 2 series. So again, something he could get done if they're successful on one of those series, but I like the under on Zach Wilson passing yards.
Yeah, so you can actually do 5. Pays up 17x you're buying. And also, guys, if you didn't know, if you hit half of your props or more, then you actually get Betcha Bucks back. And so how it works is Betcha Bucks, you don't get the original equity back. So Betcha Bucks are better off being used on like 4 and 5 pick parlays, just because you don't get the original equity back. So you want to go a little bit more ballsy. Like if you're doing just something that paid plus 100, essentially, you're not getting your original equity back. The best your possible ROI, if you hit 100%, is 50% ROI off that. Like that's the best you can possibly do. But with the 17x, like you hit it 1 out of every 20 times, you're actually making more money than if you hit a 2x1 100% of the time. So the higher the odds, the better use of Betcha Bucks it is. But this is a pretty solid one here. And I mean, if you want, you can take out Baylor, you can take out Goodson, knowing that there is a chance that both of them hit, but they do have some negative correlation. So you're better off just using one. But I like that. You want to do a little bit of baseball before we get on out of here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go on over. And I think we're just going to go with it. It's Coors night. It's going to be hot over in Coors. Not terribly humid, but still. It's Davies going up against Cincinnati. Like,
love it.
Yeah, it's just they're not good pitchers. They are definitely not good pitchers. I actually really like the Cincinnati under of 3.5 strikeouts. It's sitting at minus 140 at most sports betting sites. Cardi, I know, has it.
I think it was like 3 is what he's got.
I think it's lower than that.
It was 2.98 last I looked.
Yeah, that's not many strikeouts. 2.94, yeah. So, yeah, he's not good. And then it's nice, like, assuming he's going to not get strikeouts, assuming that he's not going to do well. I wonder, no, you can only have one prop per player. But, like, Ketel Marte, 1.5 total bases. I don't mind the over on that. Christian Walker, over 0.5 RBIs. Varsho, solid hitter. I bet him to get a home run today, over 1.5 total bases. You go the under on Sensatella, over. It's all nicely correlated. It's Colorado. They can get blown up. I like that. Do you like any of the other side? Like we could go with Davies. Davies we currently have projected for 3.18 strikeouts. He's not projected to go 50. So you could go with under on strikeouts or under on outs. And then Montero, like Davies gives up a lot of fly balls, a lot of hard contact to righties, saying at 41% and 41% to both of them for both those categories. So anyone who can hit the ball hard, Grichuk, probably not the best, but Crone 1.5 is great. Montero, guy has a ton of power. He hasn't been doing great so far, but tons of pop. I like him. He's sitting at like plus 380 to home run today. Sportsbooks are finally catching on. McMahon, we go with the under on Davies and the over. Like decent chance he gets blown up, and he's going to be giving up doubles and home runs. He's not going to be giving up a ton of singles, to at least to righties, because of that hard contact, because of those fly balls. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like it. And kind of what I said before when doing the NFL stuff, when we're doing baseball, just make sure it's correlated. It's basically like that's where you're just not giving away. That's the simplest thing you can do. If you're just looking for a sweat, just make sure it's correlated. So in both these instances, we're taking the under on pitchers and then the over on the opposing hitters. And I like that approach. I think that's the basic step you can do to at least get a decent sweat in without just throwing money away.
Yeah. I mean, always keep correlated. Always. But like you can find some spots where you get pretty decent odds, like Crone minus 135 on most sites to hit the over 1.5 total bases. But yeah, generally correlating is the best overall way to actually do things. But Tuttle, it's been fun, guys. Remember, if you haven't signed up, use the promo code Grinders, get a 100% deposit bonus up to $200. Get those picks in there, and we'll be back next week. We're out of here. See you, kids.